Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. I'm in the cabin and yes, you'll probably hear some rain hitting the roof and I'm hoping it's not making too much noise to affect the video. Because we have had, guys, some of the worst weather that I've seen in a long, long time. Now, I've lived here 30-some plus years and I've never seen stuff happening that I see happening now. Today, Wanda and I have been out in the rain, in between massive storms and stuff, trying to take care of damage that we've had on the place here. We've had so much water damage coming down through our property that it's blown fences over. It's completely covered some fences up. I can't even get them out from under what's covered up. We're having to put up temporary electric fencing to keep animals in. My cows are locked in the barn. I can't even turn them back into pasture because the stream got up about 20 feet wide and about 4 foot deep and actually blowed my back fence down going off into 7,000 acres behind me. And I can't even get into that area to fix it because if I try to walk out in there, I just sink up to my knees and topsoil that's washed in, debris, and plus it's very snaky in there, so I'm having to wait. So we're having to remove animals around our homestead. Something I've never had to do in my life here. Now, part of the problem is we've cleared land. And anytime you clear land, there's nothing to stop the water from flowing. And not only me, my neighbors above me, higher up on the hills up in here, has cleared a lot of their land. And when water hits open ground and pasture, it just runs. There's no woods, bushes and trees and leaves and stuff like that to slow it down. What happened was this water got to running so fast, coming down through here about 20 feet wide during the storm and 2 foot deep, that literally it picked up every stick, tree branches, leaves, you name it, pieces of wood, and it banked them all up against my fences, and once it got so much pressure against the fence, it just tore the fences down and kept coming. So, we got a ton of fence building that has got to be done. Guys, these are the fences that I put up last year, brand new. It has done stretched them, bent them up, tore them, pulled my posts out of the ground. The old fences that was here, it just blew them down and took them all down through the woods, covered them up under a foot of topsoil. Wire stretched everywhere. I know how the people in Nebraska feel. You know, when all their fencing and their cattle and everything is just strawed everywhere. Luckily, my animals were so cautious of the fencing because we had electric wire around everything that even though they knew the fence was down, they did not go out of it until we was able to get into some of it. They would walk up to it and just stop because they knew it used to be there. This is some of the things on homesteads that we're going to be facing in the future, I'm afraid of, because of the weather anomalies that we're dealing with. This flood cycle that we're in, they're saying that 2019, the whole year is going to be like this. Where I live at right here in South Mississippi, if we was to get any kind of straight line winds, tornadoes, tropical systems in here right now, most all the timber would just fall. Because the ground is so saturated. We got right at 5 inches of rain in 3 hours. And it just, I mean, when it came down, and it's still raining. It ain't stopped. And we've got a whole day tomorrow that's supposed to be worse than today was. So Wanda and I got some of the fencing cleaned out from under, some of the debris cleaned out of the way so that more water comes down through there. We picked the fences up a little bit, maybe. Some of it will go under the fences now, and the fences is down, or just down. When we put electric wire up a while ago, we kind of lifted it up kind of high off the ground so that water and debris would go under it maybe instead of taking it off down through the woods. But Porch Time today is not only about me and what happened here today. Now, I'm saying today, today's Tuesday. This actually happened on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, guys? In my hands here, I'm holding a piece of paper because I feel like a newscaster now. People from all over America and the world are sending me things and photographs and videos, news clippings, news channel things about what's going on in their area. God, I've never seen it this bad. It's possible in the past it could have been this bad, but I've never seen it. I'm going to read a few things here that people sent me. I'm not going to call any names unless they've given me permission to. May the 9th, in northern Arizona, we have a subscriber that lives there, said it is still too cold to plant in the ground. That morning it was 34 degrees. It didn't get up much out of the 40s or 50s during the day. They said we should be warm and dry, but it's raining with flood warnings in northern Arizona. They said that it's not even the rainy season and they're already having these problems. So I went on the weather thing and looked, and not only was it northern Arizona, I saw winter weather advisories in Mexico, New Mexico, up in the central New Mexico, all the way up into Colorado. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing that this is still happening. We're talking about places that it gets so hot at. New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, winter weather advisories. People from all these areas are sending me statements telling me that they're having winter weather advisories still in those states. Texas, we have lots of subscribers in Texas sending us stuff saying that they're having so much severe weather, tornadoes, so much damage out there everywhere that it's just amazing at how much this early in the year that they're actually having. Louisiana is having massive flooding issues. Now, I'm able to mention this person's name because they told me to, and it's Gemini Homestead. Ms. Denise and her husband shot a lot of footage of the flooding, and it's on her channel. If you would like to see it, go over to Gemini Homestead, and her and Buddy have video footage that they shot around the places, water up in people's houses in their neighborhoods and stuff. Just massive flooding still going on there. Another place in Mississippi here, this particular subscriber sent me this, and I'm going to send you over to his channel, The Naked Hog. He sent us drone footage that he took of the Mississippi River area around where he's at in there. It is footage of flooding along the Mississippi rivers and the farmlands in there right now, guys. I looked at this, I went to his channel, and I encourage y'all to go to these people's channels because they're putting up some good stuff. And I looked at all the flooding going on, and I'm like, when will we ever be able to plant? Because it doesn't look like it's going to stop raining. I went to the agricultural department, as I talked about in the other video, and I looked, and they said they need 1 week to 2 weeks of hot sunshine once the water goes down to be able to consider putting the machine in the fields, because if not, they'll pack the ground will be packed and the root system of the plants will not flourish like they need to, and they can't actually get in there to do anything. And a lot of them are saying that the ground from last fall, because it got too wet, was packed last fall, and they were hoping to get in this spring to do some subsoiling and break it back up, but they haven't been able to. So we have not only flooding, but we have packed ground. When we have flooding into the farmlands up there, like we talked about in the other video, we have chemicals out of the Mississippi River coming into there, sewage plants that's overflowing coming into people's farmlands. We have logs, treetops, stumps, all this kind of stuff actually washing into fields where farmers usually work at and hanging up on plows. They have to go through these fields, clean these fields back up before they can ever use them again. Now we have a person from Thailand. Now this is from out of the country, across the pond, over in Thailand. Said that pork from Thailand is now being sent to China. The African swine fever has destroyed 1/3 to 1/2 of the hogs in China, which we knew that. But now the disease is beginning spreading to Vietnam and Laos and the other surrounding little countries around there. And this African swine flu is mimicking the AIDS virus in people. Now, right now, they don't believe that this is being spread from animal to human, They do know that it's being spread through body fluids. If one pig sneezes onto another pig, then that pig can easily pick up this virus. And that's why it's so hard to control, especially when you have hogs in close confined areas. So we see that this person in Thailand is telling us that, you know, their pork prices is probably going to go sky high, and they're not going to have as much to be able to purchase because it's all going to China. We have a subscriber. Ms. Brenda and Paul, Duncan Homestead from Missouri, is sending me messages saying that they're worried because the rivers is up and the levees is being questionable now as to whether or not they're going to be able to hold the rivers back in their areas up there. And if one of those levees break, guys, and the water gets behind the levee, then what happens is we get massive flooding behind the levees. Now what's happened is a lot of these places where we have levees built has always been floodplains for these rivers. But man has come in and put levees up to hold the rivers and the floodplains back and built subdivisions and farmland in behind it for our personal usage. And now the rivers have nowhere to go once we have all this water coming up. And it's just, I don't even know how to say it. It was probably not a smart decision to do that. Because that's why God designed the floodplains to be the way they were. You go back and look at original floodplain maps, we did that. A lot of places it was just floodplains for the Mississippi River is now housing developments and everything, farmland and all this kind of stuff. And guys, the water's got to go somewhere when it rains. And when we have as much as we're having now because of climate change and the solar minimum and all kind of stuff else happening, we're going to, they say in a 2,000-year flood cycle, going to be the whole year of 2019. These waters have got to go somewhere before they make it to the Gulf, because they all eventually end up in the Gulf somewhere. The U.S. has now, according to one person sent me a thing that showed the United States has new tariffs on China imports of 25%. So, once again, prices are going to go sky high. Trade is going to be affected. Guys, it's just one thing right after another. Another person sent me something. I'm not sure about this one, but it was sent to me. It said the Democrats are now deleting God from congressional proceedings. Now, I can't verify this one because I haven't went and checked it out yet, but it was sent to me in a document, and it's just, if it's true, then that's just really sad that we're actually doing that. It just shows me the degradation of this country and how far we're falling behind and how far we're turning away from God. And when you turn away from God, no wonder we're facing all of the disaster. When God lifts his hand off of a nation from protecting it, then all that can happen is disaster. And I believe in my heart that that's what we're beginning to face in this country. Okay, guys, there's a bill going up in California. It is a bill that talks about foster kids can have sex changes and the state will pay for it. Guys, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you like me or not. That is not right. I don't believe in it. I believe in whatever God made us, that's what we should be. And guys, that is, I don't care if you don't like me or not, that's just wrong. You know, I mean, it's just wrong. I don't care. God makes us what we need to be, and we need to be that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm very firm on that. I don't believe in tampering with what God done. We've been sent from Switzerland that Swiss has advised its citizens in case of emergencies to begin to stockpile cash in case of hackers and terrorists hacking into digital payment systems. So that country is already telling its citizens, according to this person who sent us this from that area, that they're to start stockpiling cash in case of emergencies. This is another one that was sent to me here. Iranian military is now in power in Iran. Instead of the government, the Iranian military is now in power, and they have plans to use missile strikes against U.S. bases in Qatar. Guys, it's escalating at a very rapid pace. What I read you last week came from 2 weeks. This is this week. 3 weeks, all the stuff I've brought to y'all, people have begun to start pouring it in. And this is not even all of it. This is just what we fit on this paper here. I am concerned. I'm guessing that right where I'm living at here now, that most of the roads are impassable around creeks right now. They're probably out of their banks and over the roads. I haven't been to town yet. Wanda and I did hear a siren in the distance. I mean, you never hear sirens where we live at. Never. But yet, we heard one a while ago. I don't know what the problem was. It was in a distance, but we could hear it. And we both just stopped and was like, wow, we hear a siren. And it sounded like an ambulance or a rescue service or something of it. And I'm sure there's somebody's flooded somewhere and they're trying to get there and help them. Guys, it's now getting real. We've talked about this for the last 3 years at Deep South Homestead. We've not known when it might start. Y'all have always asked me, Danny, when do you believe things will begin? And I've always told you I wasn't 100% sure, but I felt like it was going to be in the next few years. Well, in my humble opinion, I believe things have started. I believe that what we're facing now is probably not going to go away. It might ease up occasionally for one area, but as soon as it eases up for one area, another area is probably going to be hit pretty hard. And there's only so much money to go around right now. The government is literally, from what I'm able to find out, the government is overwhelmed. FEMA, MEMA, all these different organizations that supposedly is set up to help people. The flooding disaster is more than what people can handle at this point. We was sent some news in my mind. I'm trying to sit here and remember. It was stating something to the effect of, and please forgive me if I get this wrong, that, and I don't remember which state, but that by May the 31st, if they don't get their fields ready to plant and get them in the ground, there's going to be no crop insurance this year for farmers. And guys, right now the fields are underwater. So it's not looking like that's going to happen. And the farmers nowadays, if they can't get crop insurance, most of them will not plant. Because they don't have the money to risk putting that kind of seed fertilizer money into a field, because it can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they just don't have that kind of money to throw away. So things are really not looking good for this year. I've already been in contact with some people about grain prices, feed prices for animals in this country this coming year. And they're saying that prices could go up as much as 30%, possibly even 40%, if farmers are not able to get into the fields here pretty soon to start doing some planting. Now, I always try to tie a little scripture in with what I do. The Bible plainly states that before the end of an age, Christ said there will always be seed time and harvest. But what it doesn't tell you is where it will be and when it will be. One part of the United States may do perfectly fine and be able to put their gardens in and their crops, and they may be able to produce food perfectly fine while the other parts of the country literally starve to death for food. We see this happen in 1815, the year without a summer. We see this happen during the Dust Bowls. These things have happened before in this country. Guys, there's nothing to say that it won't happen again. I'm not trying to tell you that there won't be food raised, because there will be some food raised somewhere. But the availability of that food may be slim to none for some people. It may be hard to get it trucked in. I looked at a new statistic this morning that stated food used to be trucked 1,500 miles on an average, and now it's an average of 1,800 miles. So now it's an additional 300 miles has been added to that, which means that it's getting harder and harder to get food to certain areas. And when I say food to certain areas, I'm talking specifically about things that aren't raised anywhere close to where you're at, especially foreign country foods, because we've become a nation that lives on delicacies. We're used to having strawberries, bananas, coconuts, anything like that, any of the Asian foods from Asia and all the places. We're just used to having that. We're used to being able to go to the store and buy it if we want it. You guys, in the near future, that may not be possible. A lot of our farmland is being destroyed. Hay fields. We've been sent things from people talking about the availability of hay in some places is going to be slim to none because the pastures are just all too wet. They're not able to get in and cut the hay. What hay has been cut has gotten wet. It's now soured and molded because they had no barns to put it in. And it's not looking good. The hay was sitting in fields. The fields got underwater. The hay got underwater. And now it's only fit for just covering the ground with. If you put it like on the new side of the roads and stuff like that, it can be used for that because it's all molded and it's completely soggy. Water has completely infiltrated it. Barns have went underwater. Hay in barns are now ruined. I'm not trying to be a doom and gloom person, okay? I'm just simply stating I've asked people to send me stuff from where you live at. And that's what's on this piece of paper right here, is notes that people sent me. YouTube channels have sent me videos that they've shot and asked me to send people to their video channels. And that was Gemini Homestead was one of them. Naked Hog was one of them. I don't know if Paul and Brenda put anything up on their channel, Duncan Homestead or not, but Duncan 1900. I don't know if they did, but you can go check out their channel. I'm sure they won't mind. These people would appreciate if you subscribe to them, I'm sure. Because they're good people. And they're out to tell the truth. Because the MSM is not really putting a lot of information out. Now, some of this information that was sent to me here was video clips from the local news. And on the local news, it said this may not make the mainstream media, but this is what's happening in our area. And it's much like when we have a hurricane come into the Gulf Coast down here. Our news channels here cover it around the clock, 24 hours a day, talk about every little detail of it, all the little stuff that's going on. In other states, they clip in occasionally and say, well, on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, we're having a hurricane, and they may show a few little clips and then they're out. But our news channel puts it around the clock because it's important to the people here, because we're the ones facing it. And that's what's happening all over the country to these other news channels in these towns. They're actually talking about what's going on in some of their areas. The agricultural departments are actually meeting in some of these states, and I'm getting clips from them showing what they're deciding, what they're talking about. If farmers can't get in fields by this particular time, what's the alternative plans? And a lot of them don't have an alternative plan, because there's not enough grow days left for that crop to mature. So they're actually looking into trying to come up with some other crop to fill the void so that the farmer actually has a crop that year of some kind. May not be what this country needs, but it is a crop of some kind. And someone sent a message to me the other day that says, Danny, I didn't think that foreign countries could own businesses in America. Yes, they can. They can quite, yes, own businesses here in America. And I don't know why anybody would believe that they couldn't, but they do. Because when the housing industry fell in 2008, China stepped in and bought up most of the foreclosed properties that was in this country and is now selling it off to their people. The Chinese people now own a lot of land in the United States. So guys, I don't want to keep going with this much longer because I've been going a pretty good while. But I wanted to bring this to your attention on Porch Time because this is kind of a serious note to be talking about, to let you all know what else is going on in this country and to prepare. Guys, I don't know how to say it enough. Stock up, stock up, stock up, prepare, because it's not going to get better for the next few years. All indications is in the next few years, it's only going to get worse. They're saying by 2021, we're going to be in a full-blown famine almost. So, with that being said, thank you guys for joining in on Porch Time today. Thank you for being a part of Deep South Homestead. And remember, I'm not trying to fearmonger. I'm just trying to tell you what people's telling me is happening in their areas. And I'm sure they would appreciate your prayers for them in their areas, because they've said they're praying for us in our areas, guys. So thank y'all from Deep South.